Hey people, this is Chef Morales back at it with some new recipes for y'all. Today I'm gonna show you how to cook a very simple and delicious family dinner. Pork tenderloins with mashed potatoes and vegetables. Um, so let's get right on it. Okay, so we're gonna peel these potatoes. They could be russet potatoes or they could be Idaho. I like Idaho better personally, even though they're harder to work with. We're just gonna peel them all and then cut them up. So now that we have them peeled, we're gonna cut them into about 1 inch pieces. You don't want to throw them in the water whole because you don't want to end up with a bunch of mush on the outside and then the middle still hard, or vice versa, right? So you don't want them too small either because then they'll overcook. You just want about 1 inch pieces. Also, as you peel, make sure you're getting rid of all the peelings because you end up with a mess and stickiness everywhere. That's it. Add these potatoes to the water. Be careful with the splash. And then we're gonna cook them for about 10 to 15 minutes or until they're soft.
Yeah.
So a good way to know when your potatoes are ready, you're gonna take them out and then you're gonna stab it in the middle with a knife. If it's easy to go in and out, it's tender, then your potatoes are ready. Now we're just gonna drain them. Some carrots. Now these carrots are not gonna be used for the actual dish. We're just gonna make a vegetable base so the pork loins don't stick to the pan while they're in the oven and it burns. I just gotta add that originally I didn't intend to use all these vegetables for the actual dish, but once we took it out of the oven, the vegetables were very tender and that seasoning worked very well with it. So, I just decided to give it a go. Carrots, get rid of all the tips, and then cut same size. I'm just gonna do carrots, celery, and green beans. Green beans, you could still, it's up to you if you want to eat them. I'm not gonna include them in the dish. Again, it's just gonna be a bed for the actual meat not to stick to the pan. While those potatoes are working, we're gonna work in the bed for our veggies. Just wanna have some oil, vegetables, and then we're just gonna season with salt, pepper, and then lay our pork on top. So now here we have some beautiful fresh thyme and some fresh rosemary, which is gonna go on our pork along with the seasoning. So we just want to pull the smaller leaves and stems of the thyme. These thick ones will mess up your knife, so make sure you get rid of those. And then same thing with the rosemary, you just grab it and pull against the grain of the actual stem. Once you have them all together like this, pile them up and then do a very, very small mince. These herbs are very strong in flavor, so you don't want any big chunks to go in your pork. It's gonna mess up with the flavor. While our potatoes are getting ready, we're gonna season our tenderloins. This is some pork tenderloins that I bought out of our local grocery store. Very easy. You're just gonna drop some oil in it, just a tiny bit. Rub it on it. Salt, pepper. I always, when I work with meat, I like to pre-mix 2 parts salt to 1 part pepper. And then you're gonna use your rosemary and thyme mix. Same process on the other side. Now pork has a lot of flavor on it, so you don't want to over season it. You don't want to overdo it with anything. Okay, so just a light coat of everything. And then repeat that process with everything else, with all the rest. Well, we got the potatoes going. we're gonna have this iron skillet, excuse me, preheated to a very, very high temperature. What we're gonna do here, we're gonna sear the pork loin. Turn on that pan. What we want is just a sear. And when I said make sure it's really hot is because you want a really deep sear on the outside, but then you want to allow it to cook in the oven for it to be tender. Okay, so you want a couple minutes on each side, and then we're gonna that's it for a minute. That's it. These ones are ready to turn. We had that deep brownish showing in there, so that was the one you want to deep sear on the outside and then still to be raw on the inside. So once they're sear on both sides, I'm just gonna transfer them to our vegetable bed. Okay. All right, now that we have all of our pork pieces ready, all of our tenderloins, you're gonna add a little bit of cooking wine. Try not to hit the meat so much so you don't wash off all the seasoning. And this is just gonna help keep all that moisture in there. The vegetables are gonna release its flavor, its moisture, and then it's all gonna come together very nice. All right, we're gonna cover it with foil. Make sure it's nice and tidy. You might wanna get the big pieces of foil. I don't have them, so I have to improvise. But it's all right. I don't think I will be the only one. And then I already have my oven preheated at 350. We're gonna cook that for 20 minutes. That's it. Got all that cooking in the stove. We're gonna make, originally it was supposed to be an apple and pear sauce for our pork loin, but my kids decided to eat all the apples. So we're gonna add a little twist to it, and we're gonna put pineapple and pear sauce. Well, actually, it's a lot of pineapple. You don't need all that. So set that aside over there. Peel your pineapple, your pears, and then cut them just like so. So now that we have our potatoes drained, we have our pork in the oven, we're gonna work on the sauce. You always wanna remove that middle piece of the pear. You don't want any of those seeds in there because it'll be a little bitter, right? So you wanna dice it. You can do a rough dice, it doesn't really matter. You wanna stay close to about a half an inch. Right, so we're gonna slice so. Remove that centerpiece, and we're gonna do that. Same thing with the pineapple. You always want to cut. See that little circle right there? Just cut on the outside edges of it. Remove the core, and now we're gonna go for the same size dice. However you want to or feel more comfortable doing it, just make sure you don't have some big chunks. And like so, we're gonna do the whole thing. That's it. So now we're gonna work in our sauce. For that, we're gonna need a very hot saute pan. We're gonna add a little oil to that, just to coat it, right? We have our fruits already pre-diced. So that's the biggest chunk right there. Take it out. And then I'm gonna add. I'm gonna season with salt, pepper. Again, salt, pepper is always to taste. Everyone's taste buds are different, so I'm not gonna give you measurements on that. And you want to saute them for about 5 minutes or so. After that, we're gonna do butter. We're gonna do some maple syrup to fight off a little bit of that strong pineapple flavor, and then we're gonna add some sugar to caramelize and bring that sauce together.
Okay.
So we're gonna add your potatoes. Again, I don't know if you remember, but it was about five potatoes, 4 or 5 depending on the size. You have your potatoes there. Before you start mashing, you're gonna add your butter. You can melt it, or you could do what I did. If you're feeling lazy, just cube it up a little bit. Add it scattered, and then we're gonna start mashing, right? Now you want to mash first because the next step might cool it down a little bit, and you want that butter to mix up with the potatoes. Next, we're gonna season with about a teaspoon. I dropped half of it of garlic powder. We're gonna take our salt and pepper mix. Once again, this is all to taste. So season last, and then pick whatever amount you like. I'm cooking, Mama. Excuse me. That's my daughter. Curious about what we're doing.
Mama, can you chef?
Yeah, you could be a chef too, Mama. So now we're gonna add about half a cup of heavy cream. This step you could have. So we had to pause for a little bit because my daughter wanted to participate. Say hello, Isabella. This is Isabella, my older helper.
Okay, you can say hello. Say hi. Go.
So we've added our half a cup of milk. Heavy cream. Like I said, you could use whole milk, skim milk, 2%, whatever you like. I personally like heavy cream because it makes the shit look so nice. Next, we have half a cup of Parmesan cheese. For these, same thing. You can use regular. Hey, it's okay. She's helping us. You can use half. I'm sorry. You can use fresh Parmesan. You can use aged Parmesan. I just use the one from the can, the dried up one. Now that is something. We have all the ingredients there. Mix it very well. See that texture? That's what I like, especially for pork, because you want to be able to. The way I'm going to plate it, you want to be able to hold those pork loins up. Excuse me, Isabella. But this is where. Can you turn the microwave off? Oh, I guess you use the fork. This is where. That is delicious. Here, Isabella. Try this. I guess she doesn't approve. It's really good though. Okay. So see how this fruit has already started to brown and dehydrate. This is where we're gonna do our butter. Borrow one of the spoons over here or spatulas. And use everything with the butter. Add your sugar. Now you want to do this at a lower, on a lower flame because you don't want the sugar to burn. You want it to caramelize. Right? We're gonna toss or stir, whatever you want to do to incorporate. And then you're gonna create the sugar and the butter is gonna create that syrup-like consistency. I personally like to use. That's a half a cup of maple syrup, and I like maple syrup because of the flavor and the aroma that it brings to the sauce. Ideally, you want to dehydrate the fruit more. I personally don't like it. I like my sauce to be a little chunkier. We're gonna turn down the flame, and then just let it simmer on that juice for about 10 to 15 minutes. Every 2-3 minutes or so, we're gonna come back and stir. Okay, so this has been on the stove for about 10 minutes after I added all the syrup and stuff. This is the color you want. You want it to be a nice gold brownish almost. Now that it's like that, make sure we don't have any seeds on it. We're gonna squeeze half a lemon on it. And this is gonna help neutralize some of that sugar that we have in there. Stir it. You're gonna let it go for another 2-3 minutes, and then we're ready. So our pork just beat, and we're gonna check it. Alright, so we're gonna take that out. Hopefully 20 minutes was good enough. For the plating, this is gonna be very, very nice. I changed my mind. I am gonna use some of those veggies. So we're just gonna make a bed of vegetables right here. A couple of carrots, some green beans. Get it all within the plate. And then grab your pork tenderloins. I'm gonna sit them in there like so. We're gonna spoon some of the sauce over the pork. Now this sauce is very sweet, so it's gonna complement the pork very nicely. Some of those herbs that we saved from earlier, I'm just gonna sprinkle around the plate, over the pork, over your mashed potatoes, and bon appetit.
Try it.
So what we end up doing, I ended up putting it back in the oven for about another 15 minutes, but this time uncovered, just to get some of the juices out of the pork. You won't believe how good this is. I thought the pineapple might have not worked, and it's actually one of the best assets that I put in this. Potato is nice and chunky, it's creamy. Your fruits are still, somewhat whole, and they're nice and juicy. The sweetness of the sauce complements the pork. It's just a very well and complete dish. Please like and subscribe.